Jacqueline Woodson is an American author best known for her children's picture books and juvenile novels. From a young age, she knew that writing made her happiest. In fact, she wrote everywhere. She wrote on her shoes and on paper bags, and she even wrote her name in graffiti on the side of a building. In addition to writing, she loved telling stories, but she didn't tell your traditional once-upon-a-time stories. Rather, she told lies. She loved to tell lies so that she could see her friends' reactions as she told them. The first time one of her written stories was called Good was when she was in the 5th grade. Her story was a poem about Martin Luther King, and it was so good that no one believed she actually wrote it. After college, she went to work for a children's packaging company where she helped write standardized reading tests. It was here that she was recognized by a children's book agent by the name of Liza Pulitzer Vokes. Sadly, that was not enough to get her foot in the door, so the next step she took was enrolling in Bunny Gable's children's book writing class. Editor B.B. Willoughby was a member at this school. He heard a reading from Jacqueline's writing called Last Summer. He was so impressed and requested the manuscript. Shortly after, 6 of Jacqueline's books were published. Jacqueline has received multiple awards for her remarkable literature pieces. These awards include the Poetry Foundation's Young People's Poet Laureate, the Margaret A. Edwards Award for Lifetime Achievement, the Newbery Honor Medal, the Coretta Scott King Award, the National Book Award, the Caldecott Medal, ALA Notable, Parents' Choice Award, and Detroit Public Schools Students' Favorite Author. Today, Jacqueline is best known for the following children's picture books: Coming on Home Soon, Pecan Pie Baby, The Other Side, This is the Rope, Show Way, and Each Kindness. 2 of her well-known juvenile novels are Locomotion, one that many of us read in our literature circles, and the second book is called Feathers. Now we will give a brief summary of each of these 8 books, as well as give a correlating theme to each of the books.
In Pecan Pie Baby, Gia is tired of hearing about the new baby. It hasn't even been born yet, but everyone, even her friends, seem fixated on it. Gia thinks things are fine just the way they are, and she worries, if that baby's such a big deal now, what's going to happen to Gia's nice, cozy life with Mama once it's born? Beloved author Jacqueline Woodson and Sophie Blackall have created a heartwarming story for kids adjusting to the idea of a new family member. Young readers will be reassured by Gia's eventual understanding that the baby won't ruin the special bond she has with her mom and might even be a sweet addition to the family. The first theme that was seen in Pecan Pie Baby was perseverance. Gia had to persevere through the thought of having a new baby come into her life and possibly taking all the attention away from her. By the end, her mother was able to reassure Gia that her love extends to both her and the new baby. Pecan Pie Baby also has a theme of family because of the love Gia's mom has for her. Family is there for you through good and bad times. Even when Gia was acting out, her mother was still there to love and support her. In Coming on Home Soon, it's wartime and women have to go to work while the men are off fighting. Ada Ruth's mama has a job in Chicago and she must leave Ada Ruth and her grandma behind for a while. As time passes, Ada Ruth and her grandma struggle to make ends meet on their own while trying not to miss Mama too much. Through the process, they make a furry friend that keeps them company in the absence of Ada Ruth's mama. Finally, through the dead of winter, they get a letter from Mama with money tucked inside. They have renewed hope and reassurance that Mama is doing just fine. Coming on Home Soon has the theme of family. Ada Ruth's mother has to leave her family behind to make money to support Ada Ruth and her grandma. Although it is not a typical family dynamic, it is one filled with love. It also shows perseverance. Ada Ruth and her grandma struggle to find the joy in life without Mama, but they have each other and their new furry friend to remind themselves to appreciate the little things. Their perseverance becomes fruitful when they receive the first letter from Mama.
Each Kindness is a story about 2 girls, Maya and Chloe. Maya is a new kid at Chloe's school and tries to initiate a friendship with Chloe, who refuses. Maya is unable to make friends at the new school and ends up moving away. That day, the teacher gives a lesson about the importance of kindness and the rippling effect that it has in the world. This leaves Chloe thinking about all of the kind things that she could have done, wishing that she had did them for Maya while she was still there. The most prevalent theme in each kindness is the importance of being kind. Chloe realizes after Maya leaves that she has missed the opportunity to be kind and develops regret for how she treated Maya. This book also discusses the importance of making the right choice today while the opportunity is. This is a story about a persevering hope that is laced throughout a young girl, Franny's, life. This book takes place in the 1970s in an urban area with distinct racial segregation. With a brother who is deaf, a mother who discovers she is pregnant after 2 consecutive miscarriages, and a new white boy at her exclusively black school, Franny finds herself worrying a lot. With a developing faith and inspiration from her teacher, Franny learns to see hope in her life and become a better person too. The theme in Feathers is perseverance. Franny is forced to learn how to handle the changes that are happening in her life and become the best person that she can be. Family is also a strong theme as Franny stands up for her brother who is deaf and learns to accept the addition of another baby into her family.
The other side is a story about 2 girls named Clover and Annie who fight against segregation by becoming friends. They start by talking across a fence and eventually take it a step further by crossing the fence to play and jump rope. The 2 girls are willing to take a risk and go against what the world believes about segregation. They talk about their wishes of someone eventually taking down the fence. The theme of this book is power. Everyone has power. Children even have enough power to overcome segregation. We can change the world with one small action. At the beginning of the book, the mom states, "Don't climb over that fence when you play. It isn't safe." Annie states later in the story, "A fence like this was made for sitting on." The girls show they have power when they go against what the world believes is true. They can overcome segregation with power and show that anyone, no matter what age, can make a difference. My Rope is a story of one family's journey north during the Great Migration. It starts with a little girl in South Carolina who finds a rope under a tree one summer. She has no idea the rope will become part of her family's history, but for 3 generations, that rope is passed down, used for everything from jump rope games to tying suitcases onto a car for the big move north to Brooklyn, New York City, and even for a family reunion where that first little girl is now a grandmother. The name of this book is Family. The rope is a common household item that reflects on one family's experience during the Great Migration. This is a tangible sign of the family's connection to the past. This theme is demonstrated on every page as it talks about the different purposes the family uses the rope for.
In Locomotion, 11-year-old Lonnie tells his story through poems which he is encouraged to write by his elementary teacher, Ms. Marcus. Through these poems, he relays his grief from the death of his parents, his love for his sister, his thoughts about the world, and the relationship between him and his foster mother, Miss Edna. By the end of the story, Lonnie's perspective shifts from heartbroken to hopeful as he begins to regain a sense of a loving family. A major theme of Locomotion is acceptance. Throughout a variety of situations, Lonnie must learn to accept the past and his current situation. When the pieces of his life finally begin to fall into place, he is able to accept the tragedy that happened with his parents and open his heart to the love his new foster mother and her son show toward him. In Showway, Woodson communicates a portion of her own life through explaining the lives of 7 generations of women who came before her that were fighters for freedom as well as quilt makers. The story begins with Suni's great-grandmother, a young 7-year-old girl who is sold to a plantation without her parents, bringing only some needles and thread. She ends up creating a beautiful quilt or a showway with patches known as North Star and Crossroads. Showways were actual maps that helped lead slaves to freedom. Suni's great-grandmother passes this skill to her daughter, and the tradition continues even with Suni, who, although born free, teaches her own daughter how to read and sew. The major theme of this book is family. All 7 generations of these women are interconnected with their showways and quilting skills. If it were not for Suni's great-grandmother and her showways, history for many of the slaves and their own families would have been drastically different.